And our focus will be on the second corporal work of mercy. Give drink to the thirsty. The woman at the well is a well-known story in the Bible. The Samaritan woman comes to Jacob's well in the middle of the day for water. A time of day that signals she is not accepted by her peers. Christ engages her and asks her for a drink. She thinks him funny as he does not even have a bucket for water. She later comes to realize Jesus is offering to quench another kind of thirst for her. We all thirst, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Our bodies need water to live. Many of our brothers and sisters in Christ do not have access to clean water and suffer from lack of this basic need, while we take for granted our access to clean water from our faucets. Let us strive to be good stewards of this water. Emotionally, we need soothing. We thirst for connection with friends and family. We all long to be loved and to love. Spiritually, we need security. We thirst to belong to community. In our desire, in our thirst, we look to the Eucharist to receive Christ. As we quench our thirst, as we drink in Christ, we become what we drink and eat. We become Christ, someone who is poured out in service to others. We thirst for life, flowing and poured out for others. We thirst. We become. Today we are going to hear from someone in our parish who has taken up this commitment to others in fulfilling this corporal work of mercy, giving drink to the thirsty. Now I will turn it over to Dawn, who will be introducing our speaker for today. Dawn?
Thank you so much, Sharon, for coming and sharing your experience with the Eucharistic ministry. Tell us how you started with it.
Well, my husband and I had retired from teaching in Southern California, and when we came here, we had been very active in our church, and so we went to Father Shaw first and told him that we would like to be of service, and he set us to Marge.
Oh, Marge is great, so I love her.
Yes. And Marge was very happy to have some people. We told her we would do whatever she would like, and so she started us out as greeters at the 5:30 Mass. And then one day she called and said there was a lady who was dying of cancer, and she wanted to receive communion. So we said, sure, we could do that. That seemed like a simple thing to do. This lady was on hospice, and she was a widow. She said she had been away from the church for a long time because her husband did not want her to go. And now she wanted to come back, a way of thirsting for the Lord.
Right.
We made a weekly appointment with her, and she was usually sitting on her couch knitting blankets for the poor.
Wow.
And she didn't seem to have very much herself, and so we asked if there was anything we could do. And she said, yes. Would you please take this collection envelope and put it in the church offering? So I'll tell you a little bit more about her later.
Okay. Well, tell me what you get. What's the gift that you get by doing this? Tell us what the gift.
Oh, the gift that I get from doing this is amazing. The first and most important is the actual presence of Christ is so, it's so.
You feel it, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, here I am, this ordinary person, and I'm taking the body of Jesus Christ to another person.
Who can't come here? Yeah.
And it's amazing. I will tell you then, what I remembered most about the things that we did, the lady that I talked about, she called us one time and said that she couldn't make it on Sunday, and would we come on Tuesday? And we said that would be fine. So we went to her house, but on the way we stopped to gas up. We were running late, stopped to gas up at Costco, and there was a long line there. So we were late arriving to her house. When we got there, she was gasping for air. She was on her couch, and her oxygen tank had come undone. And so Andrew picked her up and took her to the back room, and she was frantically pointing to medication. So he gave her the oxygen tank that was in the back, and I gave her medication. And that was what we did for her, but the great gift of that, she passed away 3 days later. And those 3 days gave her the time for Father Shaw to come and give her the last rites. And then also it allowed her daughter to come in from Florida to be there. And she had a peaceful death. So that was a great gift. I can never forget that.
So for their people watching, if there any confusion that God exists, you, like you said, you're an ordinary person, but you did an extraordinary act by what you and your husband did. God was there that day.
God worked through us.
So for people that are confused, this little story with you has to resonate with them. So I'm glad you were able to. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sharon. You're amazing.
Oh, it was just profound. But there are lots of other ways that we also receive. Some of them are funny, some of them are, let me see, we had one woman who made us a cake, a pie from a secret family recipe. She wouldn't give us the recipe, but the pie was wonderful.
I'm sure it was.
And then there were a couple of people, one woman who was in a board and care home, and we went to her place, and there was a man there who wanted to join in the reading with us. What Andrew and I did, we did the Bible readings. We would do the readings from the Mass the night before, and then we would go over them. And then when we went to visit people, we would go over the Bible readings and talk to them about their lives. And, anything they wanted to share, or things that reached out to them from the Bible readings. So that was very important. And this man, he wanted to join in the Bible readings. He heard us, he was walking around in the board and care home. And I asked him one day if he had been baptized. He said, many times. So what happened with those two people was, it seemed to me I didn't really need to bring communion to them, but they could come to church. So I brought them to church, and the man decided that Resurrection Church was home for him.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And so Father Aaron will be baptizing him.
Oh my God, that's great.
I mean, just things happen that are unexpected. And then there's one night that I remember I had gone to the 5:30 Mass Saturday night, and I went to give communion, and on the way home, I was in a hurry. It was getting dark, and I was in a hurry to get home. And I didn't notice the yellow light that I was gone through had turned red, but the policeman behind me noticed.
They stopped you.
He pulled me over, and he said, "Where are you coming from?" And I said, "The board and care home." And then he said, "Well, where were you before that?" And I said, "Church." So he took a long look at me, and he said, let me see exactly what he said. "For the rest of your life, You are to go slowly at yellow lights and go home and be safe.
And I bet that was your first
And
movie
good night.
violation in your life.
Actually, it was the second.
Really? Oh.
Once in Texas.
Well, thank you so much. And if anybody's watching and wants to be a Eucharistic minister, you're an amazing example of how great it can be to be one.
Well, it's full of surprises.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When you do something for God, you never know exactly how it's going to turn out.
Exactly.
But as I said, full of surprises.
Well, you're a beautiful person, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you very much for listening.